Okay.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Vickers, and I'm coming to you from Lincoln City, Oregon. Today, we're going to be talking to you about some of our agriculture and forest logging needs here in Oregon.
I'm Andy Janess. I'm coming from Gresham, Oregon, and I'm going to be talking about the watershed issues in the coastal range because of the clear cutting.
So, as you know, agriculture and the demand for wood has put a lot of pressure on our forests. Forest cleaning has clearly fed our civilization's growth over the years, but there's also a lot of negative consequences, such as biodiversity loss, soil degradation, and desertification. So the question that we keep coming back to is, well, where are we to log? We're seeing all over the world in upcoming countries that is where more of the logging is happening, but also here in our own backyard, we're having a lot of issues with. I don't know.
No, it's all right. Keep going.
We're having a lot of issues with some of the laws that are coming into effect. So logging has always been a huge part of our economy, and as of lately, the lawmakers are developing a lot of strategies that are making it a lot more difficult. This is impacting some of the local businesses, and some people find it a benefit. However, some people are having a hard time adapting. So protecting our forests is nothing new. We've been doing this since 1941, but the regulations that are being put into place now are a lot stricter than they've ever been in the past.
And so for us, the biggest issue we're having and we're seeing right now is because of the clear cutting that's going on in the coastal ranges with the drinking water supply. State Forest Peter Dougherty's role in suppressing the scientific findings in a report from the 2017-2016 DEQ water reports are bringing up a lot of issues, and they're calling for his resignation because of the fact that he's suppressing these findings. So, for instance, Rockaway Beach, where clear cutting and aerial pesticide spraying have severely damaged the town's water supply. Triangle Lake, where the local school surrounded by clear cuts found forestry herbicides in children's drinking water. Gold Beach, where over 36 residents have complained of illnesses and property damage of contaminated drinking water from the chemicals released by the aerial herbicides in the forest. And so there's a few, points going on. The director of DEQ to finish the publishing of the 2015 report titled Oregon Coastal Drinking Water Protection Plan instructed them to release the report in its entirety, including portions that ODF and the logging lobbyists sought to suppress. The DEQ and all regulation agencies needed to implement strategies to prevent undermining and good science public concerns of potential protective regulation mechanisms. So basically what's going on is because of the clear cuttings, we're seeing erosion in the watershed and the chemicals coming down from the pesticides into the water supplies. And so the blame of what is going on is who's the one that's going to be responsible to fix this. For instance, between 2001 and 2013, 82% of Rockaway's beach drinking watershed was clear cut. In 2010, Rockaway Beach spent nearly $720,000 on sand filters to treat the impaired water quality. And so the blame right now is who's going to pay for this water to clean the water to be able to use it as drinking water, as the coastal ranges are dependent on dependent on the streams and rivers for their drinking water. That's where they get it from. And so right now, the state's saying that it is the responsibility of those cities, where most of these coastal range cities don't have that kind of income to take care of, for instance, $720,000 worth of cleaning material just to clean their drinking water. So that's the issue, whereas, who's to put the blame on for this?
And Andrew really has hit the nail on the head, talking about that it really comes down almost to a blame game. And what's really important to recognize is that we do have laws and regulations in place right now to prevent some of this from happening. Clear cutting, for example, which is what we were talking about earlier, there are rules. One example is that a clear-cut size cannot exceed over 120 acres within a single ownership, including the combined acreage of any clear cuts within 300 feet of each other. So once all the required number of healthy planted trees are established and 4 feet tall, the young forest is no longer considered a clear cut. And then even after that, there are laws and regulations in place that require replanting. And if you look all over the world for the loss of trees, some countries are taking a much more drastic hit. For the United States, for example, we're actually at 0.5% because we've done a pretty good job of replanting our forest. But that's not always the case. So there's a lot of debate on this issue.
and honestly, you know, we have a lot of the rules and regulations, but really we need to develop guidelines and policies to provide greater oversight in the area of drinking water protection. There really isn't a lot of guidelines for the protection of the drinking water, and that lies what's really going on here. Is you know, like Jasmine said, it is the blame game. Who's going to take the responsibility and put these policies into place? And honestly, it sounds like it's the Oregon Department of Forestry that really needs to take action on this, and DEQ. But neither one of those state agencies want to take this on, and they're relying on the small towns to take care of it themselves, and it's a big issue.
Absolutely. The DEQ regularly measures water quality in all of our major rivers and streams throughout the whole state. So among all of our land use, the highest water quality generally occurs in the forested watersheds. Some 35 Oregon municipal water systems source their drinking water supply from harvested watersheds. More than 30 of those forest watersheds are actively managed using contemporary timber harvesting and resource protection methods. So we did a study in 2008, the U.S. Forest Service did a study in 2008 and found that there were only minor effects on the forest industry for here in the Pacific Northwest. Now that's a little different than the coastal issues of watershed, which is one of the more pressing issues that Andrew was talking about.
And to put that with what Jasmine's saying is that one of the things the Oregon Board of Forestry is lacking is a person that specializes in this hydrology and water quality to the ODF. So, you know, what they need to do is they need to bring on a professional. They don't have a professional on that board. They just have the board that is worried about the forest. But there's more aspects to the forest than just clear cutting, as you know, or taking care of the forest. Is the water we rely on for drinking, to live on, for instance. We need this issue to be taken care of.
And I mean, there's other factors that play in here too, such as disturbing the wildlife that are inhabiting our forests. When we pull these out, there's a huge disturbance to the plants that are there, and then you get some of the mixing of different things, and it just really can cause some negative issues. But I also want to make sure to remind everybody that in addition to that, we're also able to build and improve our economy in some regards too. So there's not a clear cut, pun intended, answer to this.
So, but again, you know, it's great that we have the timber industry, and we do rely on that for our existence. But at the same time, right now we're battling with lobbyists for those timber industries that are lobbying, you know, to help protect what they do and what they need, and they're not looking at every aspect of it. You know, we all need to look at the bigger pictures and see what really impacts us more than just money. But again, this seems to be a very big issue.
Yes, great. Well, hopefully we were able to bring some new information and bring a little light to this subject as we live here in Oregon, and trees are everywhere that we look around, so it's a pretty big issue.
It's a very big issue. And thank you, Jasmine.
Absolutely. Thanks, Andrew.